We're gonna get started. Good morning, everyone. It is so good to see the people that are not here yet, but I do know that some people will watch the replay. I'm glad to hang out with you this morning. I'm with my friend Cody Norris, who I've known for all of 42 hours. I think it's been about 42 hours since we've met each other. Would you say
Sounds
that's
about right.
about accurate? Cody is an associate marriage and family therapist, so he's on his way to get his licensure, and I am just so happy to have them here because I remember what it was like becoming a therapist. So, Cody, if you just want to talk, say a little bit, I just hit my damn mic. If you want to talk a little bit about yourself, just introduce yourself. Andrea says hello. And just tell us a little bit about yourself, and let's get started. I'm going to drink this hot chocolate. That's really what it is. I just need to drink this chocolate. So you go ahead and just tell. I mean, just imagine that you have an audience of people who really care about what it is that you have to say, and introduce yourself to them, and we'll go from there.
That's how I try to spend every day, really. Just imagining that.
Look, I could get so much work done if I would stop imagining. Like I was telling my friend the other day, I was like, I daydream a lot. And she was like, what do you daydream about? I was like, all the shit I could get done if I didn't daydream all the time. But good morning. Go ahead. Let me shut my mouth.
Yeah, it's great to be here. So yeah, my name is Cody. I am a marriage and family therapist. I currently work at a community mental health organization.
Oh my God.
Run by the government.
Oh no, it's so efficient. It's so efficient. I'm sure that everything works out perfectly. No one's left behind.
It's amazing, really. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
So in that context, I'll just say that everything I say today is not a representation of the views or beliefs of the organization I work for.
Absolutely.
And so my background, I've been working at my current job for a little over a year, but before that and before getting my master's degree, I've always been in community mental health. My first job out of college was as a case manager at a nonprofit mental health organization. I'm from the East Coast. I grew up in Massachusetts.
Oh shit!
I did some of my work there, and then moved out here about 5 years ago. So I got a pretty good sort of coast to coast comparison, which was really interesting too. So, I'm not trying to drag the people I work with right now,
right,
anything like that. But
please don't worry. You won't need to. I will come in and I will drag folks for you. Do not worry. I don't, because look, I don't want your career enough, because what people don't understand is like these systems that we're talking about, like when we say the word systems, there's different levels of understanding of what we mean when we say the word systems. And so when I say a system, I mean that this interconnected, interlocking group of organizations. And I guess 10, 20 years ago, it would be me thinking persecutorily, or, you know what I'm saying? Persecutory thinking, to say like, you have to be careful about what you say, because if the wrong person hears it, you could lose your job. And that's the truth. That has been true for so long, especially in the South with the good old boy system. Like the only reason I drag people the way I do is that I am 90% self-sufficient, right? Like 90% of my income comes directly from clients paying me. There is one company that I'm contracted with, and as soon as I learn how to get out of another abusive relationship, I'll leave that one too. But if it took me it sometimes takes a minute, because it's just hard. So yes, you don't have to draft, but I will absolutely draft, not people by name, but I'm absolutely going to talk about this, because community mental health, I feel like if people understood, and I would love to give you an opportunity to kind of explain it from your perspective, and then I'll kind of translate it if need be. But like community mental health, I feel like if people really understood what it was like to do community mental health, if they really saw the two systems that were available for people to have, right? Like there truly does feel like there is mental health for the rich and there is mental health for poor people. And mental health for rich people is always an excuse for an incident that they did. Oh, I'm so sorry, I was overcome with. I saw the other day that some guy said the N-word at a basketball game and said it was because his diabetes was spiked. I was like, you should have you should have said bipolar. You should have said you were bipolar, and people would have believed you. You should have done that. You should have said that you had a momentary lapse in your judgment due to the effects of ongoing and untreated bipolar disorder, and you just asked for thoughts and prayers as you go. Man, you would have been fine. Anyway, please tell the people what community mental health is.
Yes, yeah. Thank you for that because I think that one thing that I want to really make clear when we are talking about systems, what happens is whenever you try to find who the bad guy is, I encounter this all the time in my day to day. Like whenever I try to blame my coworkers or my bosses,
Right.
there's someone else. There's
Right.
someone else above them that you can never really find. Like where does it all break down? Because
Right.
that's the way the system works. Like it's all these interlocking pieces, and it incentivizes people to behave the way that they do. So
Right.
but just to give some context about kind of what it looks like. So the agency that I work for is part of the government. So we're under, multiple levels. It's like the government, and then the healthcare agency, and then the behavioral health agency, and then I work at a clinic within that agency. So my clinic is it's a multidisciplinary clinic. It's staffed by therapists
Yeah.
who are either MFTs or MSWs, social workers. So it's also got case managers. It's got some psychiatrists. It's got a couple of just managers, like clinicians who are supervisors. Um, it's got nurses and office assistants. So that's kind of like the layout of the staff. I have a caseload that I'm in charge of anywhere from 50 to 60
Oh my
people.
God, pause real quick. If we could just stop there. Like, I mean, I want you to keep doing, but you reminded me of it, bro. The caseloads that people had in community mental health. So whenever I worked in an agency, I'm not gonna call names, but when I worked in one, it's well, my resume is out there. Anyway, no, I love my resume because it's just the receipts. It's the receipts from every single experience. My resume is my receipts. Oh my
My
God.
rap sheet.
Absolutely. And so goodness gracious, it's just the amount of people that they expect you to work with. You can't do good therapy. And not that you can't. You can do good therapy. I'm not saying that. You can do good therapy, but there is no therapist left after it. That's what I will
Right.
say. You can do good. We are not going to do shoddy work, like, because this is what we were born to do. This is how, like, it's okay. We're not going to do shoddy work, but like there is no therapist left over. And I feel like what happens is you start out in community mental health, you get those 50 clients or however many that you have, you get burnt out. You just do, and then you go back out and you start replicating that same sort of pattern. So man, I forgot 50 clients. Like, it's just so hard on the therapist, right? And it anyway, please continue. My bad. I don't
Yeah.
mean to.
No, I think that's an important point. And the final point that I think is going to be important to our discussion, as you pointed out, the vast majority of our clientele, for one thing, so we're an outpatient clinic. So that means we're not a hospital. Nobody stays there. We're just like a clinic where people come for their therapy and psychiatry appointments. But we are considered like a specialty mental health provider, which means we provide these multidisciplinary services for people who have what are referred to as severe mental illnesses.
Mhm.
So
That's
people,
bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, all the ones that, where they've said that if you have this particular label, then that means that you are seriously mental ill. It's so interesting how they try to make that separation between two things, right? Like this is okay. You have generalized anxiety disorder. It's not schizoid personality. Like there's a difference between it. You see what I know you
yeah,
know what I'm saying.
and the emphasis is really on functioning, which is
Right.
another, like, that's something that I definitely want to talk about. Because but first, let me say vast majority of our clients are on the state health insurance. So that's who we bill to. It's almost like it's not even like a hidden thing where we try to pretend that we're not healthcare for poor people. Like
Yeah.
it's just sort of a given. Like if people are on Medi-Cal, which is
Right.
California's version of Medicaid, then they're likely to be our clients.
Absolutely.
So we're dealing with people in deep, deep poverty,
Right.
homelessness, like just no resources.
Right.
So everything in this system is based on this idea of functioning and diagnosis. So those things together, and this is where, we get at the idea of this linear system, because what I've seen is it creates this very us versus them mentality.
Okay.
So us being the staff and them being the clients.
Right.
And the clients, by definition, are mentally ill, not functioning well enough in society, whatever that means, right?
Right.
Because we're all functioning so well right now.
It's just killing me. Psychiatrists out here talking about, yeah, I know that, COVID-19, but your depression, it existed way before COVID, like this was just an exacerbation. Okay. All right. Okay.
Yeah, that's the linear thinking, right? That everything can fall on this like timeline of
right.
And that mental health problems just exist, like that they at some point come into existence and then they exist, rather than them being a manifestation of like different dynamics in that person's life. Like that mental health problems truly are really it's like a process of you interacting with your environment over time. So like all of these things can come and go. Like we were saying, one day I could be fine and the next day I could be freaking out about like the multiple systems that are spying on me.
Right. 100%.
And that could be totally legitimate in my life because it's like true.
Right. 100%.
So what happens with this us versus them like sort of dichotomy is, if they, the clients, are mentally ill, non-functional, then we, the staff, have to be the opposite. And I think what that creates is like, we have to be almost an inhuman level of mentally healthy.
Yeah.
Which is not actually mentally healthy. It's just undiagnosable, right?
Right. We hadn't come up with it yet. We hadn't come up with the diagnosis for it yet.
Yeah, exactly. Like it, everything that the clients do sort of reinforces the idea that they're sick. And so we, the staff, have to kind of shut off any humanity that could make us like them.
Right.
Because, and I think that comes from like a fundamental understanding of the way that we're treating them.
Yeah.
Like we're so afraid to be seen as like our clients because we don't want to be in their position.
Oh, absolutely. No, really quick on this point. I'm trying to make it a point to let my clients know that although I am there to help you, that does not mean that I don't suffer through stuff. I let my clients know I have a therapist. Like I like, we are not like, and it's just so hard to break to even get people to understand the systems that we are in. Like in terms of, where you work at, there has to be someone sick for that facility to have a reason to exist. And if you are not sick, I promise you I can define you into sickness. I can absolutely define that's how my mother did me when I was younger. Hey, what you doing? Nothing. Why are you over there doing nothing? I'm just minding my business. Well, shouldn't you be doing something else? Well, I mean, what else you want me to do? Why are you talking back? No matter what you do or say in that system, you're wrong. And so it's just, it's insane because it's so hard to get people to see like, it's okay to struggle. Like people always tell me how they love my energy and stuff. I'm like, yeah, it's an act. It is a coping skill for getting through this world. That is what it is. Like, and it doesn't mean I don't want to be this way with you. It just means, look, we all show up in different ways in different places. And we're all individuals with our own lives, our own universes, our own stories. And just because you look at me on Monday at 3 o'clock from 3 to 3:15 and you see one side of the story, there's like a whole other days of the week where you might not see me. But the idea that, and I think the overall idea is like somehow that therapy can fix these social ills. It cannot. Like there needs to be system-wide change for those things to happen. And that's where we talk about changing laws and things like that, because I mean, and just homelessness in a society as developed as ours is insane. It's insane, and it's because a few people at the top really don't want to let go of that power. They really don't, and it goes back to your other point. Once you start trying to name something or say who the problem is, like, it's not that anymore. As soon as you put a name to it, like, it's like, no, don't get mad at that person. They're doing they can. They're taking. You know what I'm saying? It's so frustrating, which is why I just stay mad at God. I want to fight him. It's his fault. It's his fault. Like, it's fine. I feel like I can blame it on. It's 100%. Why did you do this? Why did you start this? We was chilling in non-existence, and then you know what I'm saying? So that's just how I cope with it. You know, that's how I cope with it.
Yeah, yeah. No, I hear you.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, so to your point of like rich mental health versus poor mental health.
Yes, Lord.
You know, rich people get their behavior contextualized, really.
Okay.
Like they get justifications, they get to explain, you know, this is why.
Oh, good point.
I mean that's true, like, across any margin of privilege that you want to talk about. Like, white people, when they commit crimes, get their crimes sort of explained away, like justified, and like, here's the, like, you know, he was bullied, and
yeah.
And when it comes to poor people's mental health, and, you know, Black people's mental health, and people of color's mental health, and, you know, trans people's mental health, they get diagnosed. They don't get they don't get justifications, they get diagnoses, and they get their life explained to them.
Right. Wow.
They have professionals telling them,
wow,
like, this is what you are, and this is why you're acting the way that you are, and this is what we need to do in order to fix it.
Right.
Because the way that you're behaving is not functional for society. Right. And this is where, you know, like, this is where I get into these concepts of, I had mentioned to you, like, I do a lot of existential work with my clients, and part of the reason is that I think that our capitalist society, like, forces a certain sense of purpose on all of us, and it's very much withheld by these mental health systems, because one of the things that we do with our clients is create these treatment plans, and the idea of the treatment plan, the intent is to be client-centered. It's to let people have a say in what are their goals for treatment, you know, what do they want to accomplish, but the goals kind of are forced down a very narrow path.
Oh, absolutely.
Which
absolutely.
is all about productivity. It's all about being a productive working member of a capitalist society.
Absolutely. I sometimes find myself like, I'm sorry, go ahead and finish. Please continue. I'm so sorry.
No, I was just going to say, like the reason why I tend towards doing existential work with my clients, and, you know, my thing is, like, functional according to who, you know, because those ideas of what is important in society, how you function as a member of a community, those came from somewhere. Like, those aren't just universal.
Right. Well, yeah, and so to explain maybe existential work a little bit, so basically it's why existence work. Like, why am I here? Existence work. What is my purpose, right? And so people, you know, sometimes on TikTok I talk about, you know, other religions and things, and, like, I'm not against religion at all, not at all. Some of my best friends are Christian, but to me, and I heard someone else say this before, I don't want to say their name because I don't have their permission, but they said that they look at religion as if it's a coping skill, and at first I thought that was a little harsh, but then I thought about it. Like, we all need a coping skill for the answer to the question, why is there something rather than nothing, right? Like, everybody has the right to answer that question in whatever way that they see fit, as long as it doesn't hurt someone else, is my point of view, right? You are able to believe, as long as you're not hurting yourself or someone else, you can believe what you want, right? You can believe and do and behave and let your behaviors reflect that. And so when we talk about, like, being born into a capitalistic society, it's like, for example, me, when I was born, my mother used to always tell me I was going to be great and wonderful. I was going to do all these awesome things. I was supposed to be destined for great, all the typical growing up in the Christian cult type stuff, right? Like all the things. And it's so frustrating because as I become great and wonderful in my influence and work with people, it's like, you were right, but for the wrong reasons. Oh my God, you were right for all the wrong reasons. And so people sometimes, like, they never question why they do things. Like, people will just do stuff. Like, I talk about spanking being abuse on my TikTok channel. People just spank their kids and never ask themselves, why am I doing this, other than just being frustrated. And so people think that they're dissociating or having panic attacks. You exist within a system that is both designed to burn you out and also convince you that it's your fault that you're burnt out, right? Why are you not, even when you look at some of the diagnostic criteria for some things, it's just like, this sounds like a mission statement to some fucked up company that I work at, right? Like, it's absolutely, it's ridiculous. And so when I'm working with my clients and even myself, sometimes I have to sit down and remind myself, Derek, it's okay to just sit and do nothing today. It really is. If you want to just sit and honestly, if you want to sit and daydream about other stuff, then you can sit and you should be allowed to use your time and existence on this earth in the way that you want. You shouldn't have to fit someone else's box. You should, and I think that as we validate that more for clients, that there are multiple ways of being in this world. Yes, we have things we have to take care of, right? Like for our society to exist, which is why I am not advocating for tearing down the whole system yet. Not yet. I'm not advertising for it. I'm about one or two more terrible things happening before I just start breaking the windows out of people's cars. Like, I mean, and the reason I don't is because and I understand, but I'm just saying I'm about two more big things away from becoming a little bit more Malcolm and a little less Martin Luther King. I feel like, because I feel like I can help transform this system, or I can completely destroy it and start over. Imagine me as a life coach talking shit about the shit in them. Oh my God, I would destroy the whole field. Are you kidding me? So anyway, long story. Maybe that's grandiose thinking. That might be a symptom of my bipolar disorder. I probably shouldn't say stuff out that like that out loud. You can't have dream. Don't dream too big. It's okay. It's okay to want a little hot dog stand. You know, it's okay to maybe want have a little small agency, but don't be out here thinking that you're gonna transform the entirety of mental health because you don't want to get, a diagnosis. Anyway, Cody, I'm so sorry, but you were so right. You were so right. This system that we live in is designed to make us feel like we are the problem, and it's just not true. It's not true. It's not true. It's this interlocking systems that are hard to even conceptualize.
It's true. Yeah, no, and I think what you're saying is actually on point, like, because that's sort of our pathology. Like, I think there's this whole other thing that's going on with people who get into the mental health field, and our ways of making sense of the world that have led us to trying to do this. And, I think that our sort of capitalistic system exploits that. Like, it exploits our desire to see good done in the world.
Right.
And that is a moral injury that we face when we get out into the field and realize that we're not doing the good that we think we are because of the systems that are in place. Right. And because it's not as easy as just wanting to, like it's not, your intent is not enough.
Right.
And that becomes our pathology that we then put onto our clients.
Right. Right.
We limit them because we've had to limit ourselves.
Right.
And I think that, something I wanted to say in response to your stuff about religion, like one of my passions is working with people who have experienced like hearing voices and seeing visions and, what are commonly called delusions.
Yeah. Really quick, delusions? Yeah. Are you kidding? I want to be in the board meeting where some dude pitched to a guy. I want to come up with a service where people who are wasted will get in the back seat of a car with a complete stranger and have them drive them to their homes. Drunk for Uber. So like what? Delusional. I want to become the captain of my own personal space exploration program, and I want to send a car to the moon. What? You want to do what? And people just give them money for it. Movie Pass. I'm sorry, I'm gonna leave Movie Pass alone.
Yeah. So there's definitely that.
Uh-oh.
Um
Okay, make sure you need to throw hands where I was gonna come through for you.
Just my wife leaving for work.
Oh man.
So there's definitely that there's that element of like, okay, so where does delusional separate from creative and genius? But I think the other thing is like, I've talked to a lot of people who are diagnosed with schizophrenia and are called delusional, and I don't see their way of making sense of the world as much different than my way of making sense of the world. Yeah. And maybe that means I'm crazy too. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this gets me really hot because I read a book one time. It said, I think it was Whitaker who said this. I don't know. We need to start saying Howard said it. But anyway, that's why this thing keeps going. But like, it's like, if a white person comes up with a reason or a way that they see the world, then it's a theory. But if a marginalized person of color does it, then it's a delusion. And so a lot of the times with schizophrenic, and I truly feel like one day when Netflix catches on, I truly feel like I can speak that language of schizophrenia because it makes sense to me. It just sounds like someone speaking with context that you don't have, trying to make sense of a situation that you've never been in. Like if you don't, if you don't know that, you can't. One time I was walking down the street and I saw this sign that said, what was it? I love you, something. It may as well have said, I love you 3000, right? Like, and if I start going around saying I love you 3000, unless you've seen the Marvel movies, you have no idea the context, you don't know the story, but the minute that I say I love you 3000, it will remind, if you've been there before, you'll know what's going on, you know? So when I talk about things like my mother telling me the devil is a liar and she lied all the time, like either you're the devil, I'm the devil, one of us is lying. But when you try to think through these knots, when you try to think through the systems, when you try to understand them, like unless someone has validated that what you're doing is okay, the thought process that you're using is, it makes sense, and two, you're around someone else who has been through that, like you do end up feeling crazy, you do end up feeling and I mean, I was talking with one of my colleagues the other day. When I first learned systems theory, I had a manic break. Like I really did. I was like, I went manic because it made so much sense. It made sense on such a deep religious, and I remember the day I was reading the book. It was a book by Beckvar. I was reading the book, and like I was reading over that. I think it was I am with you as you are with me as I am with, and I got it. It made sense. I conceptualized relationship for like and it blew my mind. And so I was telling my colleague about this, and they said, well, you know what? I had a similar existential crisis during. I was like, what? Y'all call them existential crisis? I'm saying I'm manic. I'm gonna start using your language. And so even the language that the schizophrenic has, like that language is limited by the experiences that they've had. And if you've not had those experiences because you live in a society that builds itself up off of you, of course you're going to sound crazy. There are so many schizophrenic people who deserve an apology because I think the government is spying on us. I think that there are people watching us. I think, yes, yes, it's absolutely true. We have it documented now. And then I'm gonna shut up. But the thing that really upsets me about schizophrenia is like, I remember reading how like schizophrenics just can't exist. They just can't exist without someone saying some shit about them. Like pathological walking. But now people tell me, oh no, walking is a great way to get out trauma. We should make sure that we allow the schizophrenics to walk. Like you put people in a box for like all the time because you feel like they're crazy. And then that gets me back to abusive families, because look, if the family system you came from was abusive, I'm not saying the individual members are, but if the way in which that family operates is abusive and you have someone who's different, imagine being someone who doesn't drink, born into a family of alcoholics. Like what do you, of course you're the schizophrenic one. So talking about who wields this power, who wields these labels, I need to write this book on schizophrenia because obviously it upsets me. I'm just so afraid. I'm gonna be real with you. I am fucking terrified. I am terrified to write this book because I know that so many people are gonna come after me, and you can call me schizophrenic if you want to, but I know for a fact when I start talking about how schizophrenia is a trauma response that was defined into existence by some asshole, like it's not gonna be good for me. So I'm waiting until I have a couple of more lawyers and I have like a few more members on my Patreon. So I mean, if you'd like to join, so I can write this this book but I know I know I have so much lived experience that I could speak to that. I'm so thankful someone found me and diagnosed me as gifted instead of a problem, right? If whoever that person was in my life, thank you for putting me in the gifted program, because I know I'd be somewhere else right now. I know I would be somewhere else right now if my family wasn't afraid of the white folks would think if they put me in an institution when I was younger. Anyway.
Absolutely. I mean,
I'm so sorry. I
absolutely.
didn't mean to go off. I'm so sorry.
No, don't apologize, please. You're not going off. You're exactly on the point because
See, even
first
the language, I'm doing it to myself. I'm doing it to myself.
first of all, the fear of what could happen if you try to, get too bold with your ideas about schizophrenia, that's legitimate because they could take away your rights so fast.
Oh,
I
absolutely.
mean, the mental health system is like the quickest and easiest way that we have to remove rights from a person today.
Holy shit. I never
Um,
thought about that.
yeah, because if you are what's called gravely disabled and you are too mentally ill to take care of yourself, then they can assign someone to be in charge of making decisions for you. Which, by the way, just as a side note, there's this movie on Netflix right now called I Care a Lot.
Okay.
It's about guardianship. It's fictional. It's not a documentary or anything.
Okay.
It's fictional. Um, it's about guardianship with the elderly and this woman who like decides to take advantage of that system, but it's eye-opening.
Yeah.
And we have the same thing available for people who are diagnosed mentally ill.
Yeah.
So people want to check that out.
Please. Thank you for dropping it.
So what else so the whole what you were saying about like being diagnosed gifted versus being diagnosed mentally ill, like that's a meaning system. Like that creates meaning around everything else that happens in your life.
Oh,
And
shit.
so what I deal with people who have been diagnosed with schizophrenia is that label, like basically they were young, like say they're 18 years old. This is when most people start to experience these things. It's a rough time for everybody,
right? You were
so
suddenly a child and now all of a sudden you have all this responsibility. You can sign
right?
contracts, you can take out debts and loans and stuff that you still trying to pay back.
Yeah, and you still have like a child brain, so
right, absolutely.
so it's a rough time for everybody, right? And like going back to that idea of existential and what is existence, you know, what I talk to my clients about is like life is hard. Like being on this planet and trying to make sense of like we have this complicated mechanism in our head that like spits out all this information and we don't know what to do with half of it. And so we find ways of making sense of things. Like that is our adaptation. That is how we survive, is by creating meaning and trying to make sense of everything around us. And that's going back to like religion too, because religion is a meaning making system. It's not, people probably don't like when I compare religion to delusions, but I'm not saying anything bad on religion. I'm actually in favor of delusions because I think, I think delusions are a survival mechanism.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And we all, whether we want to acknowledge it or not, we all have them to some extent. We all tell ourselves stories about ourselves that are not demonstrably true.
Right.
Like
depending on how you define demonstrably, but we don't need to break down the fabric of reality right now. We'll save that for another episode.
Right. So like I may have clients who their delusions sort of tell them that they're special, like clients who believe that they're an angel or, they have special powers. Well, I have delusions that tell me that I'm special. Like,
right.
Why do you think that I'm here talking about this? And why do you think that I got into this field? And like, I have my own savior complex.
Right.
And like, how do you think I get by like day to day with all of the stupid shit that happens in life?
Right.
it's basically stories.
Right.
It's stories that we tell ourselves, whether it's a
Based on the
story
language that we have available to us, right? Which is why
exactly.
if you grew up in a Christian cult, or like I did, like all we knew were angels and demons. I had people walking around me literally telling me angels and demons were real, and the
Right.
anxiety that I was experiencing was due to a demonic infestation. And like if that's the only language you've had, instead of you were at church listening to a preacher scream with a mic that ain't been leveled for an hour and a half while people run around and talk about shit that you can't see, and you have to convince yourself that you see that shit or get the hell beat out of you because there's a demon in you and that's why you can't see that. And like, of course they say these things, like it seems so, like at the same time I'm afraid, I'm also pissed because it seems so obvious once you understand it, like why they're talking like this, because that's all that they know. Just like all you know is that they're schizophrenic, right? Like and it's who gets to win that, who gets to win that battle. And it's just so very frustrating. But all of our life experience is nothing but a controlled hallucination. We choose to pay attention to the things we want. And the thing that is scary, which is why I'm so afraid of TikTok, is if someone can hijack your attention seeking system, if someone can hijack that, and bro, they can order your steps for the rest of your life, you would have no idea. You would think that you're out here living your own life when you were just following a script that somebody has set for you. And if
Yeah.
you talk about it too much, then you're schizophrenic.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think that's totally true. And like there are certain within our society, there are certain acceptable delusions. There are
Right.
certain ways of making meaning that are considered like just normal. Like if you grew up in some like average Christian church and that's what you like, that's your belief system and that's the meaning that you have, then you're not diagnosed anything. Like that's just fine. And you're allowed to talk about that. But I think what ends up happening is like, we're so afraid of the repercussions of speaking on like the things that go on inside our own heads that we basically cut off that, like it's like we lock that away
Yeah.
and refuse to acknowledge that we're all just fooling ourselves. I feel like the more what really like pissed me off about becoming an adult was realizing like, are you all just like fooling yourselves all the time? And you know, I think we try to like sell this image to people
Yeah.
that like, no, it's all right, like we're all
Nah.
doing great. And
Mm-mm.
it's, I don't think it's true. The more
Which
I
is
talk,
why Joker, the movie Joker, did so well. Like white America, and I got this from a schizophrenic person. Sometimes on the weekends, I'll go chill. I used to go chill with the homeless folk. I would just walk up and like after a while, like they started to get to know me. One time, I gave this guy like $20 or something. It was so cool. He like took me to all the spots. He showed me how to be homeless in Seattle. So if something ever happens to me, I am good. I know the whole network of homies is really really awesome. I forget what I was talking about or why I was telling that story. Never mind. But anyway, it was somehow connected to what you were talking about.
the
What were you saying?
Joker.
Yeah, yeah, okay. These delusions and the stuff that goes on in our minds. Like the Joker movie was like, why is that really what people are connecting with right now? Are you serious? That idea of anarchy and just destroy things and really white America? Like, and I saw this thing yesterday about in Japan where there's this person running for a political office in full like Joker like makeup. It's like, so these systems and that's why I like to do the stuff that I do. I can't wait for my coronavirus glow up when I come with my hair all done. It's gonna be crazy. I'm just gonna look so good because I want them to like wake up. At one point, I was going to meetings in the WAMFT. I went to a conference and like you have to see it, like the makeup, like I had like tears rolling. It was crazy, and I know people thought that I was crazy. I know they thought that I was insane, but it's like we all are to a certain degree. We just have to decide what kind of insanity are we gonna let be okay. What things are gonna be all right in this environment, and for the longest time, we've had it this one simple way, this one way. It has been
Right.
one way to do. There's one way to be. And if you are not that way, you are schizophrenic, autistic, ADHD, like you are all those things. And Oh man, don't even let me get started on how the counseling theories are used to enforce that. Like, man, therapy sometimes, for some people, therapy is just being an agent of social control. For some people, they may as well be tattletales to the system that this is here. We caught one. We caught one before they came out and got their own show and called themselves a situational therapist, you know?
Yeah, no, I mean, I sort of wince when I see this stuff about like defund the police and funnel the
To
money
mental
into
health.
mental
It's the
health,
same
because
thing.
I'm
It's the
like,
same shit.
hate
It's
to
the
tell you, but we are the police. And
right.
I think if there's one, like, you know, I mentioned, like, I don't think we're burnt out. I think, you know, well, I mean, we're burnt out, but we're also, at least I'll speak for myself. I'm practicing in a way that's like barely still aligned with my moral values.
Right.
I mean, my practice, like when I'm one on one with my clients, that's one thing. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah,
pretty
yeah.
good about that. I do the
Absolutely.
best I can in the situation, but you know, I can't provide real help for my clients in this setting. The resources aren't there, and you know, I feel like the best thing I can do for them sometimes is tell them to try to get out. Like,
Yeah.
you know, try to leave this system that's
Yeah.
just gonna it's just gonna monitor them and sort of pathologize everything they do.
Right.
So,
And I'm trying I like and man, it's like leaving every abusive relationship every single angle because like even me in this one abusive relationship, I don't want to call it abusive, but it is. It is. Let me tell the truth and shame the see, that's the meaning system that I have. That is the language. And it is so frustrating. So, but whatever, I'll use it anyway. Tell the truth and shame the devil. It is so good to stay. It's really good. It's a nice security blanket, right? And I'm terrified of leaving. I'm terrified. What happens if someone decides to come after me after I don't have this blanket anymore? If I don't have this steady, that's a lot of the reason why therapists stay on insurance panels is because like what happens? I know I wouldn't be able to say all these things if I was being funded by any insurance company or if I was, working at an agency. I wouldn't be able to may or may not be drinking marijuana or smoking it in my cup as I talk to you. I wouldn't even be able to make that joke. I wouldn't be able to do any of those things if my livelihood depended on me doing correctly in the system. So I don't get mad at people. I don't knock at people. I don't come at people. I don't say like, "Oh, you should be doing better." Bro, I remember what it was like and you do the best that you can until you get through it, right? Now that
mhm.
I have my own private practice, I can do things in the way that I want to. Of course, ethically, but I can practice therapy. This is my practice. This is how the way I am with my clients. This is how that I help them. So yeah, man, I love what you said though. Like, I'm gonna have to get your permission to make a video about that. Like, why I don't think we should defund the police because therapists are the police. We're the quickest way to get you to the police. All I have to do, and I tell my clients this in my free consultation so they can understand what power they're giving me over them when they let me be their therapist. Bro, I can call the police and say that you were being crazy. You can say no, and I said, isn't that exactly what a mentally ill person would say? And you would be done. You would be done. There's an insane amount of power that therapists have. It's absolutely insane. And so then when we realize that some of these therapists are closet racist, white supremacists, like you can ruin a black person's life without even telling them shit. You don't have to
Mhm.
say a word. I'm
And
so
you can
glad
do it while pretending that you're helping
while
them.
pretending that it's help for their own good. Then we get
Yeah.
into ECT. Nobody's ready for that talk. Anyway, the point is, it's insane, and you can convince yourself, you can delude yourself that what you are doing is helping. I think some people are doing it on purpose. I think some people are well aware of what they're doing, but I think there are some people. The same folks that get offended when you try to talk about white privilege and white fragility, those same CBT therapists is what I'm gonna call them. Like they think that they're doing a good job. They really
Yeah.
do. They feel like they go to work every day and make a difference. And that is the biggest fucking delusion of them all. That is the biggest delusion in the world. You are not. You are making a difference in certain people's lives, but you are making differences in people's lives where there really is no difference. It's part of a game. Like I'm not trying to go on forever, but you know, in my initial consultations, I've met some people. I have met some people who are really just playing the game of going to therapy. Oh, this is something that people do. This is just, and that's, man, you're not like, there's actual work. I'll just, in my initial consultations, what I'll do is I'll just make the best read in the world. I'll make the best read about what's going on and say, so look, we can pretend to do therapy if you like to, but like, obviously this is the big thing in your life, like 100%, right? So anyway, long story short, I'm so glad I had this opportunity to talk. We'll have to do this again. There's no way in hell we can fit this shit into one damn conversation, because I want to talk about being males coming up in the counseling program. I want to talk about how becoming the counselor is somewhat like a multi-level marketing scheme. I want to talk about all of these things. I want to talk about all of this stuff. I want to talk about how they're fighting over who can diagnose who. But yeah, I love that thing that you said. If I can have your permission, I would love to make a TikTok about that one point, because I understood it, but I never put it in those words. Because
Absolutely.
we are and it's so funny. My bachelor's degree is in criminal justice, so I have a really good way to talk about it. Like we are. All it takes is one well-meaning therapist or one well-meaning psychiatrist to end someone's life because they are finally thinking for themselves for the first time ever. When they turn 18 and they leave their homes, coincidentally, is when people start having these manic breaks, these psychotic breaks. But I think, you know, I was 27 years old. I'm not ashamed to admit this. I was 27 years old. I think sometime it was older in age before I realized that artists who make music, you can go buy their CDs and they have other songs that they had. I did not know, because I grew up and the only time I heard music was on the radio. Like, I never thought about going back. All those artists my mom said I couldn't listen to, bruh. I sat on this couch yesterday with my feet propped up like I was in 6th grade and just listened to Paramore for hours. I never thought to go back and listen to all of the songs, man. Like, and there's just a whole Ashanti I need to go back and check out. I need to go check Seven Dust. There's so many, and I only would listen to the songs that I could catch on the radio because my mom said don't bring that devil shit into the house. Bro, if you've never heard black people talk about stuff like this, you wouldn't be able to explain some of the stuff. It would look schizophrenic to you. You would have no idea, and you're diagnosing someone because you don't have their lived experience. Insane to me.
Yeah, I mean, we could go on for so long about like cultural diagnosis. Like, there's this whole section of the DSM where they're trying to like incorporate culture, and they're like, these
well, maybe they should incorporate some black people on the fucking commission to write the book. That might help incorporate some culture. That might help. How about we incorporate some people of color? That would be a great way. That would be a great way. I don't care. They can't do shit to me. I mean, they can, but at this point, you're going to have to explain to 300,000 angry people. Man, yeah, they need to incorporate some black folk. Look, it's 7:53. You got to get to work at 8. Ain't that right?
That's right.
All right. Well, look, we're gonna do this again. We might have to figure out how to make this a recurring segment. I'm trying to build my my show and stuff at the same time, and I absolutely would love to have a section where we have Monday, maybe Tuesday, we talk about capitalism and mental health. I don't know what it might be, but thank you so much for chilling. It seems like someone has donated me $3, which means that I want to donate you something. I'm not gonna tell everybody, but I want to get you some coffee or lunch or something today, because I mean, I know I don't have to, but I just remember like what it was like. So if you could hit me your Venmo and stuff, and I ain't gonna tell everybody what I did because I can't stand folks that be like, look at how much I helped somebody. look at how nice I am. So I am helping out the little people, right? So I'm gonna get you. I want to get you some coffee or something. But I hope that you have a good day. I hope that you have a wonderful day. It has been a pleasure sharing this space with you. It absolutely has.
I'll come back and do this anytime.
Awesome. Well, even though I've only known you for 43 hours, I feel like it's been forever. So you take care. I will hit you up in a little bit and take that taken care of for you. But thank you for coming today, man. And I hope you have a good evening.
I hope you do too.
All right. I'll talk with you soon. See you later.
See ya.
Bye. Well, hey, y'all. Oh, my God. That was fun and probably unexpected. there's so much to unpack in there. Man, that was awesome. Babies, thank you for that $3. We're going to go ahead and get my boy some lunch today. At the very least, we're going to get him some lunch. We're going to get him some, he deserves some lunch. My boy deserves some lunch. And I think hopefully what will happen is, it's only been 43 hours. You think I'm lying. I'm not lying to you. I've only known him for like 43 hours. Like at the most, 43 hours. That's about it. I'm going to have to explain to y'all, like, that's how energies talk to each other. Like this wasn't Derek and what was his name again? I don't remember. It's because I've only known him for 43 hours. I just know his energy. It was Mr. Norris. Let me check. Hang on. What was his name? Cody Norris. Cody. I've only known Cody for 43 hours and 12 seconds. So, yeah, that was really cool. I really enjoyed that. So we're gonna send him over something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. That should be one thing he shouldn't have to worry about today. So y'all, I hope y'all enjoyed that. Will y'all share that with people? I'm gonna upload the part about me talking about schizophrenia, for real. Like, I've always been afraid to discuss it because if you take my words out of context, it does seem like I'm being crazy, but I'm not. I'm not. I just understand. I do understand, and it's hard to explain that to folks. Oh, bruh, I can't wait. No, or sis, or other kin, she, they, it don't matter. Boss, I need to look into private therapists. I had no idea that they do that to y'all. Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's crazy. The journey to becoming a therapist is so insane. It's so insane. It's absolutely insane. And it's not, because there are good people along the way. There are gatekeepers, but even those people are part of a system that tells them that they have to meet a certain amount of quota. So at some point, they just have to make a decision. They absolutely do. But as Cody will explain, if these programs that are hiring or that are getting therapists, what's up from Kazakhstan? If these programs that were these programs that were training therapists were being honest, there would be years where they would go without any students at all. There would be years that they would go without any students. So, man, there's a lot of this is just about money. It truly is. So, I hope y'all enjoyed that. I guess something cool that's going on. I'm playing in my first Mortal Kombat tournament today, and I'm gonna be training for the rest of Oh yeah, sorry, Chris Chicken. Yeah, we had some deep conversations yesterday. Sorry, Crispy. I'm gonna have to put like a little warning at the top about what we're talking about. Yesterday was absolutely was rough. But I don't know, Crispy. I don't know, dude. I don't know if you remember it, but you get that joke. Number 5. I don't remember what happened to episode number 5. I don't know. Maybe it was a false memory. Anyway, yeah, I'm playing in my first Mortal Kombat tournament. Well, not my first. I'm playing in my first online tournament today. And I'm just trying to get over the fear of like losing and being afraid of losing and stuff, so I can actually get, really good at it and such. So I might record myself doing a little training today from a tournament to see what happens. I'll just be in the background. What I really need to go do is my old apartment and clean up some stuff. Not clean up. I need to do my taxes. See, Bathius, you don't even know what happened yesterday because episode 5 is no longer up. But this is what we shall do. This is what we shall do. Don't worry. I will. As soon as people start asking the question, no, we're gonna get you episode number 5. Don't worry. Number 5 is not up. I had to take it down because of some stuff that we talked about. I don't know if I could. I don't know if I'm gonna stream myself in the fight. I might go ahead and do that. I just don't want to mess up the other person. But I am gonna stream myself practicing today. Yeah, I'm ignoring my taxes too, and I need to stop. I need to stop. I think the very least that I'm gonna do today is email somebody to see if they can help me with them. That's the least that I'll do today. But yeah, I need to stop ignoring my taxes. I've been ignoring the hell out of those things. I really have. But anyway, y'all, it's 7:59, and I'm trying to get good at ending from 7 to 7:50 because you got to leave the people wanting more. Just yell at the screen. I live for that. Okay, look, and I'm gonna have to come back, Bathie. It's for real. I'm gonna come back and start yelling at the screen some more. Because I mean, it does feel good. It does feel good to just yell at the screen. So look, y'all, I want y'all to have a wonderful morning. It has been good talking to y'all. I'm gonna play y'all out my super happy exit song, and just check me out. I'll probably be on a little bit later. I might not be talking. I'll probably have that I'm not talking. I'm training. But you're more than welcome to come watch me get my ass kicked. I hope y'all enjoyed this talk. I'm gonna upload some clips from it. I think the thing about schizophrenia is really important. And I'll talk to y'all soon. So, bye.
Somebody's body,